Welcome to the audio excerpts of special seminars and conversations with Nolan Narula on gettingpositivekarmanow.com.
So you've seen the 5 guiding principles, and there are 2 other practical principles. Although the 5 guiding principles today have transformed into practical principles for you. That's what we worked at. These are 2 other principles which are coming out of a realistic appreciation of human nature. And you can apply these 2 principles, which are based on the realistic appreciation of human nature, to every single thing in your life. In fact, this is your spearhead into the material world, behind which the 5 principles are. This is the arrowhead. 2 sides, arrowhead formation, penetrating. Okay. So the first principle I will like to restate. The first practical principle. As stated traditionally, it is that we give healing only to somebody who asks for it or wants it. So I am now restating this. Give healing to those who ask for healing and help. Okay? Give the Reiki to those who ask for help in any form. Whether they ask for Reiki healing or they ask for help, give them Reiki in any case, along with whatever else you need to do. Now, if you force a healing on somebody, it is counterproductive, because the person is not amenable to the idea of receiving a healing. And if that is the case, you always have the option of sending the healing without saying anything to anyone. We had mentioned this many times, that the loophole is, don't tell them you're sending healing. Say, okay, fine, I'm praying for you, for example. I wish you well. That's a healing. They don't know it, but that's your underground, under the radar, guerrilla warfare healing, where they don't know what you're doing. So wish everyone well. Doesn't matter whether they want it or they don't want it. They don't have to ask you anymore, because you found a workaround to this one. That's the first principle. The second practical principle is, there must be a suitable energy exchange for Reiki to work rapidly and to create a non-karmic debt position. There needs to be an exchange of energies. So what is the energies we are talking about? As a healer, you're instrumental in removing disease, pain, and negative energy. And you are putting in love and light. You are removing the energy of attachment from the healing, the recipient of the healing, and you are putting in love and light. You are healing the person's false ego. You are emptying out their false ego attachments and putting in its place the healing energy of love and light. Now, when a person is very resistant, he is not allowing or acknowledging that the healing can help them. They're not acknowledging that the healing can help them, or they can be better with it, or they don't want it. So then they have to be inspired to create the space by emptying themselves, and the place that they best empty themselves from is the false ego, because that is the barrier between the spiritual and the desiring aspect which takes you to the spiritual. So the spiritual desire doesn't come into place if there is a blockage in the false ego. How you remove the blockage is by parting from some of the false ego energies. parting that person. So if the person gives you the accumulated karma of his work, which is money, or he actually does some work or seva for you, that can be perfectly taken as an energy exchange. They have given something of value of what they had worked for, their karma, and now they are getting a karma in its place. Yes, that works. Otherwise, there is not anything flowing, because there is no difference, there is nothing penetrating. Only when there is some emptiness can something go and fill it, is it not? When you are completely full, you can't take any more. Full is full. Because this is the material zone. In the spiritual zone, the full can take an equal amount of full and still be full, and yet not full, and will take more. That's infinity. So we are not sending healing to the infinite part of ourselves, because that is infinitely pure. That doesn't need healing. It's the material, the matter that is surrounded that is requiring to be chipped away. And the opening comes when some energy exchange is taken. That can happen forcefully, that can happen voluntarily, it can happen as a mixture. It can happen unexpectedly. You may suddenly lose something. You may voluntarily give something, and by you give something where you thought you were giving less, actually it turned out to be more, because there was some circumstantial misunderstanding. So that means you had to give more energy, so you lost it in some form. So the energy of work is your karma. You have to part with the energy of your work, whether you part with it as physical work, as a service, as something you do for the person who is healing you, whether it's a healer or a spiritual master. And the convenient form is obviously money, because that can be exchanged for goods and services across a uniform value. Let the person decide what they want. It's not necessary that I go and buy a gold coin and give it to them. It's not necessary I buy a silver coin, or it could be anything. It could be some food, it could be some fruits, it could be anything. That's some energy exchange. You spent your money, because the things you get that you give away are a combination of your time, work, and money. Any proportion thereof. The three things: your time, the work you do, and money that you've accumulated because of the work that you do. So any combination thereof is good. It has to be appropriate enough. So that is the thing that you have to watch out for. And you have to keep the ultimate objective of healing in mind, which is to be healed completely of the material disease that is keeping you bound in the material universe and recycling. So that means you have to become free of all karmic debt, so that any action that you do does not require you to come back after you're done with this body. Whenever you are done with this body, according to the natural flow of time and pace and things that divine will decide, I'm giving you an opportunity to stay in this body for 90 years, 100 years, 50 years, 60 years, whatever it might be. You do your work, and when your work, if you're a good healer and your work is over, you're going to leave the body. Now the people around you, let's say you die at a relatively younger age. People do all the time, but for a healer the death is different. If a healer dies at a younger age, it is not necessarily a loss. It just means he's completed his work. Why should he stick around? He might have stuck around to help others. If that's not happening, that means his karmic debts are over, and it is important that he should go. Because ultimately the divine is waiting, for all the lost servants who are sitting, wandering around in the material universe thinking what a great time they are having, and lamenting at the same time. Constant lament. So to recap this point of giving healing, and the energy exchange aspect. If you do the healing without declaring you are doing the healing, that's also energy exchange. So both are covered in one. You don't tell the person that you're doing the healing. And when the person is in pain, you don't have to say, okay, I sent you healing, now pay me money. No. Send healing. That is also energy exchange. And basically, whatever you face in life, you must send healing to it because it smoothens your path. If nothing else, it is making your path smooth in life, and it helps you because when you send healing to others who are connected to you or even to yourself, you are expanding the healing very greatly. And that is because if, for example, you are sending healing for yourself, if somebody else connected to you was supposed to give you some negative aspect of that healing, which you were bound to get, but because of the healing now that has been cut short, so you actually healed the other person's karma. If somebody was taking good energy from you, good healing energy from you, and they had overtaken too much, balance is not there, whatever you had done in terms of benefits you had given them, then that relationship is also terminate at some point, because and they will be bound to repay. But if you are a healer, it's gone. There's no further accounting to be done with that person on that account. So all those accounts are written off. That's how you gradually become a karma consequence free. So basically that is the general, specific and confidential knowledge that we have shared with you.
You've been listening to a discussion with Nala Narula on www.gettingpositivekarmanow.com.